अब मैं पर्सपेक्टिव चेंज कर देता हूं, लीगल, एथिकल, moral. See, now I would find something which is ethical and moral but not legal. For example, let's say in a communist country, right? In a communist country, students are protesting. लोग protest कर रहे हैं, right? क्यों protest कर रहे हैं? Because government is exploiting them. तो ये ethical conduct है, बिल्कुल, right? ये moral भी है, बिल्कुल moral है. क्यों moral है? क्यों moral है? Yes, civilization, right? Human rights, civilization, tradition, not to accept oppression. तो बहुत सारे factors पे ये moral है. Fine. Let's say student test हमने बोला P, moral भी है, ethical है. अब government बोलती है कि नहीं, this is illegal. It does not fit here. Fine, it fits here. Are you getting? Preventive detention, legal है. Let's say in general, right? जैसे मैंने human rights framework use किया, वो unethical हो गया. It's not ethical, right? जैसे मैंने एक what you can say social या cultural value system use किया, that means if I am using the basic premise of what, a society and state relationship, the basic values of society. What is the basic value of society? Let's say Indian society, मैंने basic values को use किया. What are the basic values? तो fairness होना चाहिए, just होना चाहिए, equality होना चाहिए. Everybody should have voice, for example, this and this. Like none of the tradition says that we can exploit human being. नहीं कर सकते. ये moral भी हो गया, ये ethical भी हो गया, but ये legal नहीं है. Fine. Are you getting this point? You use it. Find out the basis first.
It can't be ethical. It's legal and moral.
Correct. Ethical? नहीं है ना, तो कोई तो ethical नहीं है. But किस perspective से? एक particular perspective से. Right? अब see, a nation like Israel is constantly being bombarded, is constantly being oppressed. Palestine is constantly being oppressed, let's say, for example. Right? Now, what they do, they make strong laws so that they are able to protect their people because they are impacted by a certain context continuously. Fine. अब वो क्या करते हैं? उन्होंने बोला कि ठीक है भाई, हम एक डिटेंशन सेंटर बनाते हैं गुआंटानामो बे की तरफ, जैसे अमेरिका ने डेवलप किया, राइट? और नॉट ऑन आवर लैंड, समवेयर एल्स, दैट इज क्रिएटेड, एंड देन विल not arrest these people because this will come under international purview, right? What we'll do, we'll simply catch them, torture them, get information from them and kill them. ये लीगल है, राइट? एथिकल है एथिकल? क्यों एथिकल है? करेक्ट, एथिकल है. क्यों? क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं you have defined the purpose that you are not doing it for your pleasure's sake, you understand? But on any ground it is not moral. Why it is not moral? Any basis or human civilization, its basis cannot be violence. Now see, here you are using a different parameter. So moral होने का sense क्या है? That things which seem to be right from a particular perspective that we are viewing it. So if I say defense and security considerations के लिए क्या लोगों को torture करना सही है? नहीं सही. तो morality क्या बोलेगी? Torture करना कभी भी सही नहीं. But ethics यहाँ पे क्या होगा? It will be manipulated. Why it will be manipulated? Because they have used the logical ground. They have used the rational evaluation. See, if they don't act that way, then see. So यहाँ पे क्या है? Morality जो है वो एक more contextual consideration, personal consideration है, human aspect है, right? लेकिन अगर एक international law बना हुआ है, right, and which says that you cannot have something like this, then it may be legal, but again not ethical. So it can be both. लीगल भी है, एथिकल भी है, मॉरल नहीं है. लीगल भी है, मॉरल भी है, लेकिन एथिकल नहीं. जैसे कुछ कंट्रीज में लॉ है एग्जीक्यूशन का, पब्लिक एग्जीक्यूशन का, लीगल है. मॉरल है उनका, कस्टम बोलता है चोरी करना गलत है, राइट? हाथ काट दो इसके. बट वो क्या किसी भी राइट रैशनल या लॉजिकल स्टैंडर्ड से क्या वो एक्सेप्टेबल है? नहीं एक्सेप्टेबल. थ्रोइंग स्टोन ऑन वुमेन, किलिंग देम बाय थ्रोइंग स्टोन्स या स्टोन पेल्टिंग, राइट? इज इट मॉरल? मॉरल है उनके लिए. For them it is moral, right? But it is not ethical. That means what? कि अगर हम if we change the framework of evaluation, right, it will not be considered as ethical, right? Though it will be moral from their perspective. So अब see, try to understand. दो aspects आते हैं morality के भी, moral relativism and moral absolutism. Moral absolutism is equal to ethical. You are trying to understand this. So morality के भी दो perspectives हैं, right? By this logic, we come to two aspects of morality. One, we have referred to moral relativism, and one, moral absolutism. This moral absolutism is closer to what we call. So now you can use it and say कि stone pelting moral relativism से moral है, लेकिन moral absolutism से moral नहीं. Are you getting? So don't understand morality as one idea. It is again an idea which is calibrated into a contextual aspect and a universal aspect. See? तो जो universal aspect है morality का वही तो ethics है बस ऐसे. You understand? और जो relative aspect है ethics का वो क्या है? Morality है. So ethical relativism means something. Ethical absolutism means universal. When we say universal, don't think in terms of number or territory. Universal means using a criteria which is based on logic and rationality. Simple. Consensus. But see, it is not that easy to come to that idea. There are some universal global consensus, yes, definitely. That can be called as, that is more ethical absolutism or moral absolutism, yes. What a public service should be, yes. What a nation state should have as the priority sector or value system while it is interacting with the other nations. What international law wants to achieve. ठीक है, तो एक ग्लोबल मोरालिटी स्टैंडर्ड सेट हो गया. वहां पे लॉ और मोरालिटी को डिस्टिंग्विश मत करो. लॉ इस्टेब्लिशिंग ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ कंडक्ट. तो लॉ भी तो मोरालिटी को लीड करता है ना, इट लीड्स टू मोरालिटी. Not every law is questionable. Not every law is based on any aspect of state's power and undermining citizens' liberty. ये तो नहीं है. अब फंडामेंटल राइट्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल भी है, लीगल भी है, मॉरल भी है, एथिकल भी है, राइट? कंट्रोल ओवर स्टेट पावर यार एक एथिकल कॉन्सेप्ट है. Trying to restrict the power, and moral perspective here, you are restricting the distribution of power. Anyone who misuses something is immoral, right? But morality में problem ये है कि criteria becomes very important. You cannot evaluate someone's morality as per your standard. You have to put yourself into that standard. Only then you can evaluate. So the moment you say someone is eating, someone is sitting like this, someone is doing something like this, right? So there cannot be a very general parameter of that. उसके लिए you will have to stick to the context in which you are evaluating the person. That is why I said from outside you cannot evaluate the actions of person as moral or immoral. You have to be in the context. इतना समझ में? 5 minutes break दो फिर we'll start. Just 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
पहले बात तो कौन सा कॉन्टेक्स्ट बात है वो तो मैं भूल गई. तो मैं टीचर कौन सी वही मुझे पता है. आज तो मैं सर्वर मेरे ड्रेस कोड में से
बस वाइट का ख्याल रखना ना, वाइट तो लगता है शाइन और वैसा कुछ और
saying I am reading the question. She said it from Oxford. Why she doing this? Slope में तो point है. Just wait. There is a female character. CBI is most complicated. CBC संदर्भ को भी से है. CBI भी संदर्भ को भी से है. हाँ. दोनों कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल तो नहीं है. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन तो कोई भी नहीं है. ED भी नहीं है. NIA भी नहीं है. तीनों स्टैट्यूटरी भी नहीं. चलो. तो फिर ऐसे कंपेयर सबसे स्ट्रांग तो NIA. नेशनल. फिर CBI. फिर गूगल. अभी काम नहीं है. CBI first CBI is more strong. This CBI only one aspect. That's why many of these CBI is really but this CBI. I'm confused. Like me. So truth is absolute now. You can't let it go. So NIA, CBI, EB, and then CSE. That's my own.
Okay, is it audible? Pooja, anyone? Batao. Out of this content, अच्छा.
In context of the investigation and information, investigation and basically checking the asset. CBC is the least powerful in the
Highest.
CBC is highest. Then CBI also.
Yes, obviously. CBI reports to CBC. फाइन जीएस में जब इंस्टीट्यूशंस पढ़ते हैं तो नॉर्मली यही पढ़ते हैं. तो इंस्टीट्यूशन का जो पार्ट है, राइट, पॉलिटिकल इंस्टीट्यूशन, गवर्नेंस इंस्टीट्यूशंस, सो वो बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन है कि भाई सीवीसी इज द हाईएस्ट बॉडी. Yes, now under Lokpal technically, or you can say somewhere inferior to Lokpal. Lokpal is the highest body, anti-corruption body. Fine. But as far as administration is concerned, it's CBC. CBI reports to CBC. ठीक है, अब CBC का status भी तो देखो. CBC is a statutory body, right? Under CBC Act 2003 or 2002-3. So as per official channel or hierarchy, it is the CBC. Is it audible, bhai? Pooja, bata do bhai. So CBC is the highest body, and CBC transfers now cases to CBI, or CBI can have direct cases from court, right? So courts can direct, High Court, Supreme Court can direct to CBI, right? Or if state demands from the union government, then it can be CBI. Or even if the state demands to the court, then also it can, send it to CBI. But sending it to CBI means what? Its administrative authority is CBC. Boss uska CBC ही है. वो बात अलग है कि CBI does not may formally report to CBC, right? But parallelly they will report to Prime Minister or Prime Minister's office. So CBI is controlled basically by 4 ministries: Ministry of Law and Justice, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Personnel, and Ministry of Home. Home is the direct cadre controlling authority, right? Others are more or less controlling its other functions, but its executive function is controlled by the Ministry of Home. वैसे अगर तुम देखोगे तो they all come under Ministry of Personnel. All these bodies, they have to somewhere ultimately report to Ministry of Personnel. पीएमओ के अंडर काम करती है. NSA, NIA, ये सब तो पीएमओ के साथ ही काम करते हैं. But they are also working under Home Ministry. No, they will be under some ministry. They are not the bodies which are isolated from the mainstream government system. वो नीति आयोग थोड़ा है, right? So these are staff bodies, but they are somewhere collaborated with the ministry. They are working under ministries. तो इनके जो heads होते हैं, they are basically of the rank of the secretary or additional secretary, or they can be of the rank of DGPs or the DGP of Central Police Organization. They are basically of that rank. क्योंकि ये भी गवर्नमेंट का रूल है भाई, जो इन टाइप की बॉडीज में अपॉइंट होगा, राइट, वो उसका रैंक गवर्नमेंट के सेक्रेटरी के बराबर या उससे इंफीरियर होना चाहिए. अगर उनका रैंक उनसे ऊपर हो गया तो वो तो उसका बॉस हो जाएगा ना, और बॉस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बाहर कैसे रहेगा? दैट्स एनी लॉजिकल थिंग. दैट इज व्हाई इवन इन पीएमओ, राइट, द सेक्रेटरी इज कॉल्ड द प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी, राइट, एंड नॉट द सेक्रेटरी. So principal secretary equals to somewhere secretary, right, but not, yes, not higher nor powerful than secretary. Fine, chalo. लीव इट। ये प्रॉब्लम सी देखो, मैं अब इसको एक आई कुड हैव मेड दिस अ कमर्शियल कोर्स, इट इज इन डिमांड ना। इफ आई कीप गिविंग आंसर्स टू यू, बेकार हो गया मेरा पूरा वीडियो, नहीं फिर मुझे एडिट कराना पड़ेगा इसको। फाइन, पैसा भी तो कमाना है, सिर्फ ज्ञान थोड़ा देना। जब गधे कमाते हैं तो फिर घोड़ों को भी कमाना पड़ेगा, क्या करें, घास तो सबको खानी है, नहीं घोड़ों को प्रोटीन वाली घास खानी होती है, ये भी तो प्रॉब्लम है। सो यू कैन नॉट थिंक ऑफ कि भाई सीबीसी इज नॉट अ सब स्टैंडर्ड, सीबीसी इज द हाईएस्ट बॉडी, सीबीसी स्टैट्यूटरी है, सीबीआई तो है ही नहीं स्टैट्यूटरी। फाइन, नाउ सी, सो even one aspect of morality is equated to technically ethics. So don't be confused ki what is ethical, what is moral. That is not a clear cut classification, right? Legal versus moral and ethical ho sakta hai, but generally moral versus ethical nahi hota, because morality comes from subjective considerations, ethics comes from objective consideration, but then both are happening in the same world, both are talking about the same human behavior, right? तो कहीं ना कहीं तो वो एक दूसरे को, they will impact each other or they will influence each other. Fine, you understand now? So you can write, देखिए देखिए, it is often perceived that morality is more subjective, personal, intrinsic, contextual, non-empirical, while ethics is not. That means ethics is what? Whatever this is not. This classification, see, many teachers have made the videos on that, है ना, ethics versus moral. मैंने भी एक बनाया था बहुत पहले, right? But the idea was, we did not explain it in a way कि भाई this can be this but not this, this can be this is not the idea. This is not the way to understand it, because one is, right, basically a constituent of the another. There's a difference of degree. There's a difference of the multitude of parameters. Ethics is supposed to be scrutinized on more empirical parameters, and morality is scrutinized on more personal or what you can say traditional parameters or narrow parameters. तो parameters of ethics क्या broad है, ज़्यादा scientific है, parameters of morality कम scientific है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं कि वो खराब है वो अच्छा है, या वो कुछ और है और ये कुछ और है, ऐसा नहीं. The ultimate search is to find out what is good and which of them can lead us to something called absolute good. यही तो search है. So I can move from morality to ethics, right? And I can also come back from ethics to morality to justify, to understand something. Fine. It is not. ये लिख दिया. See, though this क्या लिखा? Though this classification is more superficial. Classification is more superficial as morality can also be understood in two broad dimensions. That is moral relativism and moral absolutism. Absolutism. In the same manner, even ethics can be classified into ethical relativism and ethical absolutism. So you can simplify this idea as something like this. So ये जो है part, sorry, fine. हर कोई एक का हायर डिग्री, हायर वर्जन है. Moral relativism somewhere resides in ethical relativism. Ethical relativism is somewhere what you can say is a lesser, counterpart of moral absolutism, and moral absolutism ultimately is part of ethical absolutism, right? So ये जो पूरा aspect है, ये क्या है? They are all somewhere integrated to each other. The differences of degree and magnitude, quality and scope of evaluation. ये difference है बस. So what parameters are being used? What point of view is being used? What window of evaluation is being used? It depends on that. So इसका higher version ये है, right? इससे थोड़ा higher version ये है, और इन सब का जो godfather है वो ये. Okay. That is what ultimate search is, right? So this is the search for the ultimate, right, or absolute. So all are searching for good. In some context prevails, in some the universal parameters prevail. Okay. Ultimate aim kya hai? Same. So let's not treat it that way. Otherwise, the moment we treat it that way, right, sometimes we come in conflict amongst different values. Most of the times, many of these values may be an intermediate value to something that we want to achieve. So values may be kya hai? Values may be the terminal values hai or intermediary values hai. For example, I want to earn money, but I'm not greedy. You understand? So earning money can be based on many factors. Greed, earning money. Process to wahi ho raha hai. Right? But if I say ki money for me is an intermediate value by which I want to create a consequence, which I want to happen. Right? But I cannot do it unless I have the money. तो मनी मेरे लिए एक मींस या एक इंटरमीडिएट वैल्यू हो जाती है. टर्मिनल वैल्यू क्या है? लेट्स से establishing an R&D institution or establishing a, let's say, institute of public policy and governance or whatever think tank, policy think tank. Let's say that is my purpose. Now for some, it may be the end itself. You have to earn money, I don't know what is to be, or what exactly is the purpose, I'm not sure about, but I have to earn money. So हर action में, हर evaluation में एक primary value होता है, एक intermediary value होता है, एक terminal value होता है. This, we don't think that way, right? We act. We generally include all of them together, right? But we are so accustomed to acting, taking a decision, right, that we don't exactly evaluate on what basis of parameters we have made the decision. ये हम नहीं सोचते. Are you getting? So हम start कर सकते हैं कि भाई yes, I'm hungry. So what is my primary value, right? Is to satisfy my hunger. Simple, basic. Okay. मेरा intermediary value क्या होगा? कि मैं क्या खाऊं, कहाँ खाऊं, right? Taste, बिल्कुल सही बात है. And terminal value क्या होगा? कि मैं खाना खाता रहूं या खाना खा के भी कुछ करूंगा. So you're a student, you want to study. So what will you say? What is my terminal value? The sooner I finish this, right, I'll go and study. See? So your choice of food, right, your importance of food, for you utility of food is primarily based on what? The terminal value. कि मुझे करना क्या है? मुझे जाके पढ़ना है. Everything, most of the things in life we evaluate this way, right? The thing is that we evaluate it so fast, we don't observe it. बोलते हैं ना भाई जल्दी जल्दी घर पहुंचना, ये जो कुछ भी मिल जाए खा लो, चलो. What you've done? You've done this process, right? But you've not observed this process. So try to understand every evaluation that we do, right? Somewhere is a combination of these factors, right? Okay. Take another paragraph and write. On the other hand, lot of contradictions appear. On the other hand, lot of contradictions appear between law versus morality and ethics. Appear between law versus morality and ethics. It is mainly because law is based on the considerations of power, authority, legitimacy, universalization, and it generally eliminates the socio-cultural, historical historical biases. As लिखिए, as morality and ethics are more, as morality and ethics are more in the realm of human aspect, in the realm of human aspect, the law is more based on facts and data. Data. More based on facts and data. उसका realm, उसका logic, उसकी सोच अलग है और इसकी सोच अलग है, right? It seems, but that is also totally not true, right? देखिए, though even this classification, or this distinction, even though this distinction also might seem superficial, because the modern democratic states are based on rule of law, that is inherently a moral and ethical idea. That is inherently a moral and ethical idea. That is, लिखिए, absence of arbitrariness. Okay, so in a common sense manner, we might agree that legal and moral frameworks are somewhere subcomponents of ethical framework. Obviously undermining the exceptions. So see, when we think of modern societies, modern political systems, right? Modern power systems, modern judicial systems, modern idea of justice, ये सब क्या justice का idea ही moral है? It's something inherently is good, right? So when you talk about justice by an autocrat, justice by a dictator, and justice by a rational judge or rational legal system, right? So that justice or the spirit of justice is actually visible in a legal rational system and not under a dictator, not under a autocrat or not under a monarch. तो जस्टिस तो सबके अंदर होगा, लेकिन उस जस्टिस का जो ट्रू स्पिरिट है, जो उसकी इनहेरेंट जो क्वालिटी है, वो कहाँ विजिबल होगी? जब वो एक ऐसे सिस्टम में अप्लाई होगा. Same is for rule of law. So rule by law may be visible everywhere, but rule of law is not visible everywhere. Constitution may be visible everywhere. Constitutionalism is not visible everywhere. Understand? तो systems हर जगह होंगे, right? पर क्या humanitarian systems हर जगह होंगे? नहीं होंगे. So the idea is that neither morality nor ethics can morality or law can substitute ethics. Neither morality nor law, right, can supersede ethics. ना उसको substitute कर सकते हैं, ना उसको dominate कर सकते हैं. Neither morality or law have a different perception or a different ambition from the ethics. So all of them work in tandem. They work together. Right? It is only when certain exceptions are visible we are compelled to understand, or we are compelled to evaluate ethics versus morality versus law. In essence, all of them are working for the same purpose. Law भी establish करता है किसी rule of law system में क्या law ऐसा बन सकता है जो purely unethical हो, जो basic human premises को ही violate कर दे, ऐसा नहीं बन सकता. Right? किसी society में क्या ऐसा law बन सकता है जो उसके core social, traditional या moral या cultural value system के totally against हो? It is not possible, right? Though law will be made, fine, but it will also try to accommodate those aspects. जैसे fifth schedule क्यों बना हुआ है? moral aspects को accommodate करने के लिए, right? But it is not saying everywhere it will be applicable, no? So always there is an element of balance, right? We are enforcing certain things in certain areas. A president's rule कोई permanent चीज थोड़ी ना है, exception है ना? Emergency क्या है? Exception है ना? But you cannot say कि by any moral standard emergency is bad. No, it is not bad. Having a provision is not bad, right? But misuse of the provision is bad. So even law wants to follow the due process. Law wants to follow the procedure established by law. When it does that, it follows the spirit of morality and ethics. All clear. So rather than making them, compartmentalizing them and making them look illogical against each other, okay, that is not the way we understand them. So they can be at best taken as the different degrees and magnitudes of the same ambition searching for the ultimate best. The ultimate good, not best. Best हो सकता है पर good नहीं हो सकता. Fine. So ये हमारा search है. That is what the idea is. So we'll continue tomorrow with obviously certain aspects like values, attitude, public service, ethics क्या होता है, right? So we'll write them not necessarily in the same order as it is there, but everything will be linked in a logical order as needed. See you then tomorrow. Any doubt you have right now? Don't ask unnecessary doubt. If you have some doubt what we did today, that's fine. But अगर political question है मत पूछो. कैसा question है?
पूछना कि ट्रांजैक्शनल वैल्यू सोसाइटीज में कैपिटलिस्ट प्रोडक्शन की वजह से है मतलब
अरे बिल्कुल ये फैक्ट है. Economics more or less have always guided the human behavior, right? So economic values more or less have become internalized to human beings. बिल्कुल सही. लेकिन कैपिटलिज्म बाद में आया. कैपिटलिस्ट वैल्यूज पहले आ चुकी थी. कैपिटलिज्म सिर्फ एक मैनिफेस्टेशन है उन वैल्यूज का. It's more rational manifestation of those values which were already there. So when you get into farming, when you create a surplus, when you start a trade, and then after trade you start greed, right? Trade leads to greed, to commercialization, to exchange, bargain, to values पहुंच चुकी already. See? That is how religion emerges. Religion has purely an economic perspective, nothing else. If anyone says anything else, he has obviously 99.99% they have never read anything and they have all the views over everything. There are some, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 10 groups, time pass groups who are making podcasts, right? And they are talking about each and every use this thing. Right? कि भीम गया तो भीम ने कर्ण को ये बोला तो कर्ण आया कर्ण ने फिर साइड में ये बोला. तू वहां पे था भाई, तू बैठा था वहां पे, सबसे आगे की सीट लेके देख रहा था क्या ड्रामा? What illogical thing is that? See? So it's not about just scoring marks or not scoring marks. See, when we have to understand something, let's understand in authentic manner. And then whatever we want, we can make use of that. It is up to you. What opinion you form, you understand Gandhi first in a non-biased, rational manner. Whatever you want to apply it for, whatever you want to interpret, that is your interpretation. That is where the morality comes. Ethics क्या बोलता है कि भाई ये knowledge है, ये knowledge है. अब तुम्हें जो उसको सोचना है सोच लो, तुम्हारी मर्जी. So when you say कि भाई अहिंसा क्या होता है, अहिंसा दूसरों से नहीं लड़ना होता, नहीं. That's the biggest useless analysis. The concept of ahimsa is purely an internal trait. You understand? It is a guiding value to your conscience. We'll talk about conscience क्या है, spirit क्या है, तो समझ में आएगा. Fine. So वो guiding value है आपके conscience की. So a person who is inherently, right, a peace seeker, who inherently is inspired by these values only, right? You can imagine what his thought would be, what his action would be, and what kind of consequences he might be creating. So when you create a consequence which doesn't attract anyone's anger or anyone's reaction, unless that person is mad, that's a different issue. Obviously, Gandhi has not done research on that aspect, right? So वो एक अलग aspect. So if you go and talk to a policeman respectfully, right, it is not that you are scared of him. What is it? You are expressing the way you think of the world, right? You think of the world to be respectful. That is what you do. Right? It's if you're humble, right? That doesn't mean you're weak. You only expect others to be at least behave in that particular way, the way you want. So that is why you are behaving in that way, because you believe that others also expect the same from you. तो आप क्या कर रहे हो? एक एक्शन से आप एक रिएक्शन क्रिएट कर रहे हो. गांधी का वो कॉन्सेप्ट था कि ह्यूमन behavior, right, can be transformed by exhibiting a particular standard of conduct. If you exhibit that conduct, right, more or less you are going to create that repercussion, you are going to create that effect which is desired. तो दो लोगों के नॉन वायलेंट होने से क्या समाज नॉन वायलेंट हो जाएगा? नहीं होगा ना भाई. तो वो किस टाइप की वैल्यू है? वो सिर्फ एक्शन की वैल्यू है नहीं, वो इनहेरेंट ट्रेट है. That is what the social or internal value value that he wanted everyone to internalize. So anything, when you interpret, if you interpret it correctly, so if you know it from the root logic, then it is up to you how you want to apply. The only thing is that when you have a half-baked knowledge, you'll never know how to apply it, how to interpret it. ये question क्यों पूछा गया अभी? 7 sins of Gandhi का interpretation क्या है? Right? So 7 sins का interpretation of Gandhi. Somebody has interpreted Gandhi's 3 monkeys, right? You cannot see, you should not hear, and you should not speak. तो बोल रहे कि जो नहीं देख रहा है, right? वो बोल तो सकता है, नहीं? जो नहीं देख रहा है वो खराब बोल सकता है, बट वो खराब देखेगा ना, है ना? Is that his logic? These 3 are integrated in one person. They are technically not 3 monkeys. There is one monkey. But see the person's interpretation कि गांधी का जो बंदर सुन नहीं रहा है वो बोल तो सकता ही है, जो देख नहीं रहा है वो भी बोल सकता है और सुन भी सकता है, गंदा हो गया।